Now, the Hunt Palmer Show.
Yes! I feel like I've been waiting for this my entire life.
You're listening to the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Jolly good fun. Jolly good.
Locking down the middle of the day.
America's favorite daytime fun show.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
Welcome in. Hunt Palmer actually coming to you from Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio downtown in the capital city, and damn glad to do it on this Tuesday. Got Jacob Beck and Jordan Kitchens back there on the ones and twos. It was a long time away. It was a lot of fun. It was very successful and fruitful, but glad to be home. Glad to be back here. Glad to be hanging out for the next 2 hours. We'll have Glenn West coming up in 30 minutes. At the top of hour number 2 at 2 o'clock, Sonny Shipp's going to jump on to talk a little recruiting. Big weekend for LSU over the weekend that I paid absolutely no attention to. Not even a little bit. None. Somebody told me Bo Bentley committed somewhere else. Didn't even know it. Didn't know it happened. I'm across the country. I got a College World Series to win. Football recruiting, not on the brain, but it's always on Sonny's brain, and he's going to tell us about it in an hour. And then we'll talk some Saints with Sharif Ishak of WDSU. In hour number 2 at the bottom of that hour. So fired up to here with us. Beck, what do we think about the 2 weeks away and my technical skills to get the broadcast on the air? However many times we did that. I guess I can count. Friday, Saturday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Monday. Nine shows. How'd I do?
Well, for what I was expecting, I would probably give you a A- or a B+, honestly.
What dropped it to a B+?
Well, I'm in between B+ or A-. Somewhere I would probably go A-. I think my final decision would be A- because you never had a very serious issue. The only issues you really ever had was a few times where you literally couldn't hear me or the commercials or anything.
That happened twice because there was a cord that has to be plugged into the back that was just where our engineer who I put the FaceTime up, and he said, you see that cord hanging off? Plug it in. Bo doesn't have a lot of tolerance for the idiot radio personalities that can't plug things in properly.
Yes, but overall, but besides that, that was really the only mistakes that were made. So it was a good performance by you.
How about leaving the carry-on with all of the equipment unattended and lost in the St. Louis airport this morning?
Well,
was that good?
That's not good. However, you did find it. So honestly, the only way anyone would have ever known is just by you telling the story. It is a great story, but at the same time,
I was so relieved when I found it. I got my flight was at 5:25 this morning out of Omaha. Got to the airport at 4:15. Flew to St. Louis and landed there at 6 and had an 8:15 connection. And I was trying to write a story and I got it done and I got a Powerade, and I over the course of that just left the significantly expensive radio equipment unattended. And someone found it and gave it to the gate attendant. I just didn't know which gate attendant may have had it. So I was on the plane, ran off the plane, down the up the tarmac thing, or is that what it's called?
No, that's the tarmac. Is like the actual ground.
The actual ground.
That's like the gate.
Like
the gate
jetway,
gate connection.
Whatever. I ran back up that. I was running throughout the terminal with the backpack on, pouring sweat. 8 a.m. It was a bad scene, but I did find it, and it's now back.
Yes.
And right when I walked in, I saw Bo, and I just handed him the box. Like, I've had this for 2 weeks. I cannot have it anymore. And it's safe. It is safe there, so that's a good thing. So, yeah, awesome 12, 13 days, 12 nights in Omaha, and fired up to be back. And never been more, as I tweeted last night, never been more excited. Go pick my kiddo up and take him to swim lessons. That was a long 12 days away, but glad to be back here, and let's get things started the way we do every day with our Genesis opening drive.
It's time for Hunt's Opening Drive, presented by Genesis of Baton Rouge.
So what do we do when one season ends? We just go start looking at the next one, right? And I did that for LouisianaSports.net yesterday, wrote a story just kind of detailing what's going to go on here in the next 6 weeks. And that is the transfer portal, but most importantly, that I can project the roster from the 2025 national champions. What part of that is coming back next year? And I want to probably break this into 2 segments. It's probably going to take a little bit, but I'll start with the position player group. Luis Hernandez is out of eligibility. He's gone. That's your catcher. Jared Jones is at first base. He's a junior. He will go to the draft. He's gone. Daniel Dickinson played second. He's got options. I think he came here to compete for a championship, to play in Omaha, to prove himself against the SEC, and then to go play professional baseball. He could certainly come back and lose all that leverage. It wouldn't stun me. I think he's going to move on to professional baseball. Michael Braswell's out of eligibility. He's gone. So the only person on the infield dirt from a position player perspective that you are getting back is Stephen Milam, your shortstop. In my opinion, I don't think Dickinson's back. You go to the outfield, and Josh Pearson is out of eligibility, so he will move on. And the two guys that have a decision to make about what their futures hold are Ethan Fry and Chris Stanfield. Both of those guys have the opportunity to play more college baseball. Fry is more draftable than Stanfield. Stanfield is a very good college center fielder, but he doesn't have any pop in his bat, really. Is mostly a pull hitter, and he's just a college player. And I think he would be a great college player to have back on LSU's team next year. But if he'd like to sign for a little bit more money, if we think he would get drafted well after the 10th round and is just ready to win his national championship and move on and see what he can do in professional baseball, he has that option. I haven't spoke. Look, these guys over there in that program right now are doing a lot more celebrating and rejoicing over what they accomplished than talking to me about what players do and what in the draft. I don't think those decisions have earnestly been considered to this point. They will be probably after Wednesday's celebration. You kind of think about what's next for you. Ethan Fry does not have a defensive spot. And if Stanfield comes back, then you have Derek Curiel, Chris Stanfield, and Jake Brown all in your outfield as returning starters. And I don't know how much outfield time there is for Ethan Fry. I don't know if he can play first base. I've seen him do it a little bit, and this was like a year ago, and it wasn't great, but there's a vacancy there if he wants to try his hand at first base. Maybe Jake Brown plays first base as well. I wouldn't like that, but it's a possibility. So Fry just has to consider, like, okay, you're not going to create a lot more value for yourself if you go play left field because Stanfield leaves and Curiel goes over and plays center and you're the left fielder. Like, playing left field doesn't prove anything to major league teams that's going to make a significant move in your draft spot. And certainly first base isn't either. And you look at his leverage, like if he doesn't play, I'm not sure how he's not going to get a redshirt year from last year with the injury. He played too much. So he's one that you're just going to have to see. Those are the question marks with your position player group. It's Dickinson a little bit, and then it's big time Stanfield and Fry, what those guys decide ultimately they want to do. That is the core of your team next year right now. And I realize the transfer portal's open and things can happen all the time. But right now, the core of your team moving into 2026 is Stephen Milam, Derek Curiel, Jake Brown, and then hopefully Ethan Fry, Chris Stanfield, Daniel Dickinson. But those decisions have to be made. That is what you're looking for as far as this team goes. We'll see. They've already added 2 transfer portal players that are good infield bats, third base, first base, probably maybe second base. I think Dardar probably plays second base if I had to guess. But we'll see what the draft does to the signing class and what of those guys may make an impact. I'm not ready to do that segment today. That's more of a June segment to do. But right now, offensively, it looks really good as far as what you're bringing back to this roster. And I think that they need to potentially add a little bit of power. That's it's an interesting thing because you saw him go up there and hit 2 homers and win the national championship. I'm not as concerned with the power in Omaha because you just have to hit low line drives there. You've got to hit the ball on the ground through holes and into the corners and into the gaps. But to win in the SEC, it's really hard to do without some pop. Like, it's just really hard to win those 30 SEC games without home runs. If you go to Knoxville or you go to Kentucky or you go to Oxford, even Duty Noble, some of these offensive ballparks, and you don't have guys that want to hit it over the fence, and you're playing teams that are built to hit it over the fence, it just creates some issues. And this team, to its credit, did find enough power beyond Jones. Like Dickinson crept up to like 13 home runs, and Brown hit with some pop when he was out there, and you got double-digit home runs from Milan, you got 9 homers from Hernandez, and you found some power. Fry he broke out really this year and found a little bit of a power stroke, and none of those guys hit homers in Omaha. It didn't matter. LSU didn't lose a game when they were up there. But the season's broken up into 2 different components. One is make sure you play at home, and the other is make sure you win in Omaha. And I did this segment back on the first Friday I was there. I talked to Dave Van Horn and Jay Johnson about building their roster, knowing that you're competing for a national championship in your mind. Like, you know where that national championship is going to be held. Do you have to mold your roster to that? And they both said you would be short-sighted to try to build a team to win in this ballpark because you have to play 56 games plus a conference tournament just to qualify to get into the tournament to play in this place. So I don't know what kind of profile and what kind of power you can expect if John Pearson plays a little bit. I don't know how well Seth Dardar's power translates over from the Big 12 to the SEC. He homered off Kate Anderson, which is a pretty big feather in your cap. And then I don't know like what Chris Stanfield decides to do. And if you put Ethan Fry back in the outfield and Curriel grows up a little bit and turns that 5, 6, 7 home runs into 12, 13 home runs, which we all think could very well happen. Like, you start to find some pop that you're looking for. And I think Stephen Milan's going to have a better offensive year next year than he did this past year. That's going to be one that we look back and go, what happened for those 50 games? Because it was great as a freshman, and it was great in Omaha as a sophomore year, and I think it's going to be great next year. Like, what happened during a sophomore regular season? And so maybe if he hits the ball a little bit better next year, that home run number crops up a little bit. But I think LSU is in good shape from a position player standpoint. It's going to be another team that I think lacks a little bit as far as the star power aspect goes. Curriel and Milam are great college players. Curriel's probably going to have to hit more home runs to be a superstar. Like, hitting 340 with 6 home runs is awesome as a freshman. Incredible. I am not disparaging that at all, one bit. But, like, the superstars hit 18 homers. Like, that's what Vahiva Aloy and Jared Jones and Dylan Cruz and Tommy White and the great players in the league, Jack Caglione and Jay Slaviolette, and it's a power hitter's game. Now, if you hit 418, we'll talk about it. But the star power may not be what the Cruz White Skeens team was again, but it didn't have to be because it wasn't this year either. But I like the backbone and the core of the offense moving into next year. Just got to continue to supplement that out of the transfer portal and see what the high school class can add to you. Because if you continue to add freshmen like Milam and Curriel to your roster, and like Trey Morgan and Cruz were great freshmen, as you all well know. Like, if you get one of those, and I can't tell you who that is today because I don't know what the draft's going to do, but if you can get one of those, then you add that to the mix. And I think that Jay Johnson feels really good about his team. If you listened to Jay Johnson when the portal was brought up to him after the regional, because guys were going in the portal after the regional, he was like, we're going to be very selective. And to me, that answer saying we're going to be very selective indicates he feels pretty good about where they are from a roster standpoint, and they're just going to cherry pick the 4 or 5 guys they want, and it's not going to be some 13-player ad like some teams will do just about annually. So that's a look at the offense. I want to do the same thing with the pitching staff when we come back. Then we'll chat with Glenn West in 15 minutes. The Tuesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Genesis of Baton Rouge. GenesisofBatonRouge.com is that website. Every car that's on the lot is online at GenesisofBatonRouge.com. Look, the staff there at Genesis is just incredible. It's always a treat for me to go over there and chat with them. You may have had a bad experience in the past at some car dealership, and it scarred you, and you're like, I'm not going back to deal with that. It's just so unpleasant. I'll just sit at the comfort of my home and push buttons. I'm not going to talk to anybody. And I get that. And you are certainly welcome to go check out the inventory online at GenesisofBatonRouge.com. But I highly recommend you go talk to their staff. Their brand ambassadors are phenomenal. They're going to treat you like a guest and not a customer. And they're going to make sure that all your questions are answered, all your needs are considered, and that the price makes sense for you. And that's what they're going to do at Genesis of Baton Rouge. It's a luxury brand. It's a luxury experience at a reasonable price. That's what they promise you. It's Genesis of Baton Rouge. Go by and see them. Airline at PQ. GenesisofBatonRouge.com.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Men, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
At Luba Workers' Comp, our journey began over 30 years ago with a simple belief: our clients come first.
At Luba, our business has always been focused on people, not policies.
Through every success and challenge, we've continued to grow because we've stayed true to our values, committed to providing you with genuine dependability.
Because your well-being is more than a priority. It's our purpose.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show. Brought to you by You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Went around the LSU lineup there in the first segment for our Genesis opening drive. A couple names that I did not mention in that segment that I want to make sure that y'all are aware of there. I mean, Cade Arambidi is projected to be the catcher on the team next year, and I think has a chance to be a star. Now, the development has to come. And if you got to see a jump like you saw from Jake Brown this past year, where he was a talented dude as a freshman, but he didn't hit for a very high average against the SEC, and he didn't do a ton. You could just see the tools. And he put that together this year and really had a nice year, mainly hitting against right-handed pitching. Arambidi's got all the tools you could possibly want at catcher. And if you can put that together, he could be a really, really good player. And I didn't mention Ashton Larson either, and that's just going to be an interesting deal. I think Ashton was an incredible teammate this year. I don't see a lot of outfield spots opening up. I mean, Curiel's Curiel, and Brown is Brown, and like Stanfield may be back. And if that's the case, and especially if Fry's back too, like I just don't know where the outfield at bats come from for Ashton. I don't know if he can play first base. Maybe they send him off to summer ball and do that if he wants to stay. Like I'm certainly not trying to run Ashton Larson out of town. I'm just analyzing the roster and I'm looking at a bunch of guys that he didn't beat out this past year, and I'm going, well, is he going to beat him out this next year? It's going to be interesting. So we'll see what Ashton Larson's future is as well. But he could be back. As far as the pitching staff goes, you are going to have to replace a lot. But I will remind you that LSU, entering this season, had to replace 29 of its 30 SEC starts and almost all of its SEC innings from last year's staff. That was Holman and Jump and Herring and Ackenhausen and Little and all those guys. You had to completely overhaul the pitching staff, and LSU was incredible on the mound this year. So if you look at who's going to be moving on from the pitching staff, Cade Anderson is going to be a top 5 pick. Anthony Ianson is going to move on to pro baseball. Chase Shores is going to move on to pro baseball. Jacob Myers is going to move on to pro baseball. Those guys are very, very draftable and will sign for large bonuses. Cade's might be like $10 million. Somebody like Shores or Myers closer to 400, 500, 600,000, 700, 800,000, depending on what team falls in love with them, where the slot is, and how much money they have to spend. But those guys are going to sign pretty lucrative contracts. You look at the decisions that have to be made on the pitching staff. That's guys like Zach Cowan, who could come back and maybe be a starter in the SEC. He would lose his leverage. I don't think he's going to be a massively draftable prospect anyway. So we'll see if Zach Cowan decides to come back. He had a great year. His ERA was under 3 for the year. He had 4 bad outings, and they looked bad. Like, it was bad to lose that game at South Carolina. It was bad to be so bad in that game against Little Rock. But he was really good for most of the year. And I think most LSU fans, and certainly that coaching staff I know, would welcome him back if he wanted to come back. Jaden Newt is draft eligible. He missed a year, so he's only a sophomore. He doesn't lose his leverage if he moves on, but he is draftable, and he'll have to make a decision. Gavin Guidry said to a camera on the field in Omaha, like, let's run it back. So I have no reason to believe he's going to move on coming off of an injury, but he can. He's been at LSU now for 3 years. Grant Fontenot hasn't really caught on anywhere, so that's a guy who has a decision to make. And then Connor Ware is another one who I think he's probably going to sign a pro deal and just get on with it. But he could come back. He's got another year of college eligibility, and he's a guy that would lose some leverage there. I'm not sure what the future holds. If you made me guess, I would guess Grant Fontenot is not back with LSU. I would guess Connor Ware is not back with LSU. I would guess Cowan, Newt, and Guidry all do return for LSU. And then you got guys that you project that are certainly back who aren't even draft eligible. That's Kason Evans, who right now profiles as your Friday night guy. That's Cooper Williams, who was awesome this year. You've got Maverick Rizzi, who showed so much upside. Like, isn't it easy to project Maverick Rizzi in that Chase Shores role at the end of the season for next year, where he comes in and just lets it fly at 98, 99 miles an hour, 100 miles an hour? And we've seen Rizzi's got a good slider as well. When Rizzi was on, he was awesome. He just threw too many balls. But you look at Evans, Williams, Rizzi, and then, of course, your other freshman, William Schmidt, who this is a monster summer for William Schmidt. Just, there's no two ways about it. He has got to go, I'm assuming, to Cape Cod and throw strikes. And then he's got to come back in the fall and throw strikes, because I think William Schmidt is going to be a star. I think that the ability is so good. And the same way that I'm going to pump brakes and pump brakes and pump brakes all late summer when everybody says, well, Burrow in year 5 did that at LSU, and then Daniels in year 5 did that at LSU. Here's Nussmeier, number 5. Go get him. I'm not going to do that immediately. And I'm not going to look at Cade Anderson's freshman year and look at William Schmidt's freshman year and go, hey, go do that. That's hard to do. But there are parallels. Anderson was a Louisiana kid with big-time talent who turned down draft money, who was dominant at times in the midweek, and then went up against SEC opponents and didn't do very well. And then he went off to the Cape, and he came back with Nate Yeski, and they worked on a slider, and he was great in the fall, and he was clearly LSU's number 1 on opening day and never relinquished it, and he was the best pitcher in the country. What you've got to see from William Schmidt is find mechanics up, throw more strikes, keep spinning that breaking ball, and he'll be a very, very, very effective college pitcher. But he's got to make those strides. Devin Sheeran is already on Cape Cod. He tore his ACL back in the end of the summer last year. Didn't pitch this year. He's looking really good on Cape Cod, so I love that. And you got DJ Primo, who you project back with the team as well. So that's Kason Evans, Cooper Williams, Maverick Rizzi, William Schmidt, Devin Sheeran, DJ Primo. That's 6 guys. And then you look at the guys that you think you'll get back with Cowan, Newt, Guidry. That you're talking about 9 guys to start with there before you ever add a transfer portal arm, which they're looking into, or you get anybody from the signing class, which we'll talk about at a later date. But like you have a strong foundation from a pitching perspective, a position player perspective. Beg your pardon, that's a tongue twister. From a pitching perspective, the talent is immense, but everybody's going to have to bump up a notch in role. Like Evans is going to have to go from an elite stopper who LSU very much trusted in big spots like they did in the regional where he was sensational and in the UCLA restart where he was sensational. Now you got to be the Friday guy. And like Cooper Williams, William Schmidt, like you guys got your feet wet a little bit. Cooper Williams, lefty bullpen specialist. Schmidt starting in the midweek. Like, okay, need you big time on SEC weekends. Cowan, closer, might need you to be the Sunday starter. Like Newt, your midweek arm, I need you to be a force in the back of the bullpen or a weekend starter. But you realize how much talent that you've got in that and that there's more coming via the portal and the high school class. Like, I feel really good about LSU's pitching. And I will say this. Part of it is because you overhauled everything last year, and it went so well. And Jay said this after the game ended on Sunday afternoon. He's like, if you're a pitcher and you don't want to come here, like, you're out to lunch, is what he said. Like, you're clearly not thinking clearly if you don't want to come here and pitch. And that's because LSU's got so many resources, and they've got that pitching lab, and they've got Jamie Tutko on the analytics, and they've got Nate Yeske on the fundamentals and the communication and all that goes into pitch calling. And the formula they've got is creating massive development in transfers and young arms. The improvement that Anthony Ianson made, the improvement that Cade Anderson made, the improvement that Chase Shores made and that Cooper Williams made, the improvement that Jaden Newt made. Like, these guys have made significant leaps since they've been here, and they've got to continue to do that. And I think if I sat here today and suggested that's not going to happen next year, that would just be completely disingenuous. Like, they're going to do awesome. They're going to take these talented arms and make a great pitching staff. And that, I wrote a column about like the resurrection of LSU from a pitching perspective from the time Jay Johnson got to LSU to now. When Jay Johnson got to LSU, it was Mikhail Hilliard on Fridays, a mediocre Ty Floyd on Saturdays. Pray you could get the ball to Eric Reiselman and Paul Gervais, who we found from heavens knows where, and try to get through a weekend. And they got to a regional doing that, and they almost won it. And then you got Skeens, and you developed Floyd, and you brought in Riley Cooper, and you developed Ackenhausen, and then you brought in Thatcher Hurd and Gage Jump and Luke Holman, and you just the amount of talent just elevated immensely in like 18 months' time. And now you're just kind of running the assembly line through. And guys are going to move off the assembly line like Cade Anderson, Anthony Ianson, and Chase Shores and Jacob Myers, and you just got to roll the next group on. And this is that group. So I understand after doing the exercise, and for those that missed this on Louisiana Sports Center, if you like to read it in print form, just kind of get your arms around it as opposed to me talking to you, I've got a big story on LouisianaSports.net right now. It's like how the roster looks right now moving into next year. But there's a reason why Jay Johnson said a couple weeks ago that, like, we're going to be real selective. And there's a reason why, to this point, they've only added 2 transfer portal options. They got Seth Dardar, who I mentioned, from Kansas State, and then High Point third baseman Braden Simpson, if they can get him through the draft. And that's really all they've done to this point. Now they're on starting pitcher from Rutgers that they'd like to add, and we'll get into that as things happen. But I more so wanted to focus on what's actually currently on the roster. And it wouldn't shock me at all today if 3 guys went in the transfer portal from LSU. Maybe a better time to do that would be Thursday after the national championship celebration. But you understand, like, you've already had a lot of guys that didn't make the travel roster, postseason roster, the Mick Pauls and the Mikey Ryans and the Daniel Hoggs, and like those guys are already in. And maybe there will be more, maybe not. But this is what the roster looks like right now, and it's in a really good spot. They've just got to supplement it like they do every single year. And as long as Jay Johnson is the coach at LSU, they're going to supplement it, and they're going to be really good. That was my biggest takeaway from this national championship, is like, now the train is really on the tracks and it's chugging. And this is the result of that. This group that looks going to be really talented in the fall, and then should be able to try to make a run at this thing again next year. And that'll be the case every year as Jay Johnson is here running things at the powerhouse of college baseball. I'll tell you this. I pulled into Baton Rouge, dropped off my luggage at the house, said hey to the cat, then booked it down Nicholson to work, do the show. And I passed the box, and there was a crane already out at the Intimidator. If you look at my Twitter feed, I've got a picture of it. It's not a very good picture, but it is a picture nonetheless. They're already putting the new one on for Wednesday. Now, we know that they put one on for Wednesday that just highlights this year's, and then for opening day next year, they'll have one up that has all 8 on it, and that's a very, very cool thing. Make some more room on that Intimidator. I think we may use it here in the not-too-distant future. All right, let's take a timeout. When we come back, Glenn West of Go 24/7. We've got a lot of Go 24/7 coming at you here in the next 45 minutes. We'll have Glenn West now, and then Sonny Ship at the top of the hour talking some recruiting, but we'll stick with baseball next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
These are the luckiest ice cubes in the world. They could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they've been called upon to cradle and cool a crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Looks like the lucky just got luckier. Dos Equis.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet Cadillac, our family serving your family.
For over 50 years.
At Sunshine, we know what you see when you look at your land. Where others may see dirt, you see the foundation you've built your life on. This, it's hallowed ground. It's past, present, and future. We're proud to provide quality John Deere equipment to help you maintain the land you love. Check out our current promotions and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
ED, low T, or simply seeking to optimize your health and performance? Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness offers a range of discreet services to address your specific needs. We empower men to reclaim their health and confidence. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram is taking $22,500 off MSRP on the brand new 2025 Ram 1500 Laramie with $22,500 off MSRP with a complimentary 7-year powertrain warranty that comes with all new Bayou Automotive vehicles. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
I hope your work week's off to a good start. Feeling confident that it is. I was getting the sense driving into Baton Rouge today. I don't know what made it crystallize from it. It's like it really felt like summer when I was driving in. I think I was
because there wasn't as much traffic.
It may have been. But it was 10 o'clock. Like well, it was like 11 o'clock actually. So it's just not going to be a very trafficy time. But it just like it really, the summer vibes were very much out there. And I think I was just so knee deep in baseball the last 4 weeks that I didn't take time to realize that. But it's summer, so maybe you're not a work week. Maybe it's vacation time for you. Glenn West, 24/7, go 24/7. Good enough to give us some time on Tuesdays. Joins us now on the Jim's Firearms Hotline. Glenn, how are you?
I'm doing great, Hunt. Is the Coke Zero carrying you through today?
Yeah, I got one here. I mean, at this point, it's just pure adrenaline. Like that was 3 hours of sleep last night. That wasn't very good sleep, and I've already been on 2 airplanes today. So yeah, we're gonna make it through one way or another. I think it's more than the Coke Zero. It's probably just the baseball team winning the national championship, which was quite fun to watch and enjoy. You were with them every step of the way. I'll leave it very open ended. Like, what's this team's legacy for you?
Yeah, I think, look, I'll steal Jay Johnson's quote here about toughness and together. I think that is very applicable to this team in terms of just how, maybe this wasn't the most talented national championship team LSU's had. I mean, they have, don't get me wrong, they have MLB talent all up and down the roster, but this group really had to come together in a very short amount of time. There was a lot of turnover with this roster, with only 12 players returning from last year. And just, I think the way that they moved their way through Omaha was just really incredible. I mean, to go 5-0, you really relied heavily on that 1-2 punch of Cade Anderson and Anthony Ianson, but Chase Shores gave you some big moments. Zach Cowan gave you some big moments. Comes to find out, in the very final presser in Omaha, Jay Johnson tells the media that Daniel Dickinson has been playing with a broken hand for the last 3-4 weeks. I mean, it's just, Michael Braswell, with all the struggles he had at the plate, didn't let it affect his defense. This was as together of a group that I think that I've seen since I've been covering the team back in 2017, and I think that really showed its colors in this postseason run. And it's going to be a very special one to remember. And I think Jay Johnson said it best. I can't remember what interview he was doing, but he wants to build future LSU teams like the way this one was built, in terms of just the character, the mindset, the toughness, the focus. This team never seemed out of a game. They never seemed out of control at any point during this postseason run. And that's just a true testament to just how together and close this group was, and the clutchness and the clutch gene that I think showed throughout the entirety of the postseason as well.
I'm with you for all that. I think I'm lockstep there. And then the caveat to it is they also might have had the number one pick at the top of their rotation, which I don't think any of us suggested in January, but here we are. I mean, what do you make of Cade Anderson's 18 starts?
Yeah, look, he's going to go down as one of the all-time greats here. And, this is a Louisiana kid that grew up watching this team over the years and just had a really great story to him. Had an up-and-down freshman season, came together, I think, towards the end of that freshman year for him, where he put together some really strong outings, and you could kind of see maybe the improvement coming. But I'd be lying to you if I said I thought this was going to be kind of the end result of his second season here. I mean, I thought he'd be great for LSU this year. I think after the very first game, I said, well, there's your ace. And some people hopped on me for it a little bit, saying, well, let's give it a little bit more time. But he has just a mental toughness to him on the mound that nothing rattles him. He gives up some home runs every once in a while, but he's so effective with all four of his pitches, and they're so deceptive and so consistently hitting the corners, hitting the right spots of the strike zone that this really has hitters guessing. And I think he's going to be a fantastic major league pitcher at the next level. And I think it's a great selling point here for Jay Johnson and for Nate Yeskie, all these guys that they've had over the years, whether it's Skeens or Ty Floyd and Gage Jump, Luke Holman, and then this year with Anderson and Ianson. They have proven that they can develop pitching talent at an elite level here, and I would imagine that continues to happen over the course of the next however long they're together.
Do you have any sound logic as to why Stephen Milam did not play very well for 56 games of this year, and then the rest of his time at LSU so far, the other year and a half, has just been brilliant?
I don't. I mean, look, we say he wasn't playing well, but I will say defensively he was elite the entirety of the year. His bat was just, I think, a combination of, because he didn't strike out a ton. I think he was getting under balls. He was not hitting it in the right spots with the bat. There's probably some inner workings here you can dissect as you go through his season looking back on it, but I think that this is a guy that's postseason made. I mean, he is just a very tough kid coming from New Mexico. Just a really, I think a common theme with this team is that nothing really fazed them throughout the entirety of the year. And I think another example of that is Stephen Milam, when it gets to postseason play, is arguably your MVP of the entire postseason after maybe having some struggles in SEC play at the plate. I mean, he was elite defensively throughout the entirety of the year, but he came through with some of the biggest swings that LSU had to have in the postseason, and he just seemed like he was always on base. I think he batted around 400. I'm sure his on-base percentage was well north of 400 in the postseason, and I think that just goes to show you, like, it doesn't matter what you've done in the previous 56. It's all about the present, all about the game in front of you. That's been the kind of the mantra of this group since Jay Johnson took over in 2021. They always look forward. They don't look in the past, and Stephen Milam is a great example of that, and a big reason why LSU was able to get over the hump here in the NCAA tournament.
He will be back, assuming he doesn't look elsewhere to play college baseball, but he's not going to the MLB draft. I'm curious what your thoughts are on some of the guys with draft options. I'll kind of go through them. It's Cowan, it's Stanfield, it's Fry. Those are kind of the three that I'm looking at specifically. What does your gut tell you about those three guys and whether or not they'll be back?
Yeah, my gut feeling is, if LSU can get two of those three back, I think that would be really good, because then that also solves kind of that other outfield position there with, potentially one of those guys like Chris Stanfield potentially leaving. But if they're able to convince Stanfield or Fry to come back, I think that's a huge win. Cowan, I think, is going to be maybe a little easier to make that case. I mean, he can come back and be a starter for LSU next year and probably get a nice NIL package to be a part of this group next season. And he was elite for LSU out of the bullpen, but he's a starter. He's a guy that can start games, and I think that'll be something. I'm sure these are conversations that Jay Johnson is already having with these players, and if they can get one of Stanfield and Fry back, I think that's a huge win for this team. Because whether it's Stanfield, you slot him right back in the center field, or if it's Fry, you can put him in a corner outfield spot like Curiel is center. That's your 1-2-3 punch there with Jake Brown. The other guy that I'm curious on, and I know this is not a direct draft question, but what happens with Ashton Larson?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think he's still a very good player. He just got, look, there were some really good hitters on this team. Stanfield was obviously an elite defensive player and came through with some clutch hits. But I think if you lose Stanfield and you lose Fry, but you're able to convince Larson to come back and run it back with this group, I think you're still in a really good spot in the outfield with those three as your kind of starters going into next year as well. So really those core four, I think, are guys that I'm all looking at. And if you can get two, maybe three of them back, you're really sitting pretty if you're LSU.
Any of those guys can play first base, do you think?
I would maybe lean Fry if there's going to be any of those guys that could play first. I think John Pearson's a guy that certainly you could see, getting some work over at first. He had some opportunities at first and third, I think, in the fall and in the spring. So maybe that's an option that they can have at first. Eddie Yaman is another guy that has some catcher/first base experience that they are hoping to get back, and I think will be back. But yeah, I think maybe Fry could play. Maybe I'm remembering this wrong, but I believe Jake Brown even played an inning or two at some point in the season at first base. So maybe that's an option. I think Jake Brown's perfect in where he is. I don't think you want to move him at all, but there's definitely some maneuvering that I think you can kind of lean into depending on who you do and don't get back this off season.
What do you think the future holds for Jay Johnson at LSU?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think like a lot of the writers that cover the beat or even the national guys, wrote pretty much a variation of the same piece. I think this is a dynasty in weight. Like, I think one, it's like, okay, this is a really good coach. This is a guy who knows how to develop and recruit at an elite level. But to do it just 2 years later, too, is massively impressive, especially considering the turnover that LSU's had as a program with all the players that they've lost over the last couple seasons to the draft. To be able to rebuild this team, retool it, find that that niche, that puncturing point that gets them into a championship contending group. He's the best at it right now. I know that there are several great coaches out there that are doing it at a very high level. I would imagine Jay Johnson is going to get a nice deserved raise for what he's been able to build and do over the last couple of years. And I think, if they've got two, I wouldn't be a bit surprised if they don't slow down and they're right back in the thick of things next year and are a program to be reckoned with for however long he's in Baton Rouge.
We missed you in Omaha. Maybe we'll see you there next summer, Glenn, all right?
All right. Thanks, man.
He's Glenn West. Go 24/7, covering the Tigers, baseball, basketball, football, and, of course, recruiting. They got you covered over at Go 24/7. And my guy, Sonny Ship, over at Go 24/7 as well. He'll be there coming up. He'll be here coming up in 15 minutes. We'll close out hour number 1 this Tuesday edition of The Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Bayou Ford is taking $11,000 off MSRP with 4.9% for 60 months on the new 2025 Ford F-150 XLT, plus the complimentary 7-year powertrain warranty that comes with all new Bayou Automotive vehicles. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
You gotta believe in a dream. Believe. You gotta believe in a dream. Believe. You gotta believe. My whole team on wild.
These ice cubes could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they cradle and cool the crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Nicely done, ice cubes.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram is taking $22,500 off MSRP on the brand new 2025 Ram 1500 Laramie with $22,500 off MSRP with a complimentary 7-year powertrain warranty that comes with all new Bayou Automotive vehicles. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
At Sunshine, we know what you see when you look at your land. Where others may see dirt, you see the foundation you've built your life on. This, it's hallowed ground. It's past, present, and future. We're proud to provide quality John Deere equipment to help you maintain the land you love. Check out our current promotions and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
At Luba Workers' Comp, our journey began over 30 years ago with a simple belief: our clients come first.
At Luba, our business has always been focused on people, not policies.
Through every success and challenge, we've continued to grow because we've stayed true to our values, committed to providing you with genuine dependability.
Because your well-being is more than a priority. It's our purpose.
Man, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Bend Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet Cadillac. Our family serving your family.
For over 50 years.
When it comes to choosing energy for your family and your home, make the smart choice with natural gas. You can count on efficient and affordable natural gas to keep you comfortable and reduce your environmental impact to help protect our planet. Together, we're fueling our energy future. Atmos Energy.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
All right. Wrapping up hour number one here. As I've mentioned earlier in the hour, I came basically from the airport. I dropped my stuff off at my house, but I was not at my house for more than 10 minutes today. Had a 5:25 flight out of Omaha this morning to St. Louis and then to here. So, like, I haven't really gotten my feet on the ground yet. I just came in here and started yapping about baseball. And we'll do a lot of football in the second hour. But, Beck, I got to find a salad somewhere at home. Like, that was...
There was no salads available in Omaha?
They were available. They weren't purchased at any point.
Why not?
It was 13 days of bacon cheeseburgers, French dips, French fries, pizza, pastas, like big salad, pastas in the press box, beers, steaks, potatoes, mac and cheese. Like, it was...
What's the problem?
The problem is I'm probably gained 10 pounds.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just pure indulgence the entire time. Like, I need to have a little bit of maturity.
Yeah, you
to
do.
be able to
You
just
do.
chill out and drink
Yeah.
a glass of water and have a salad. And I just never did. I just ate something hellaciously unhealthy for every meal for 2 weeks.
And I'm guessing you weren't running or doing your exercise.
No
of course
shot.
not. No.
Absolutely not.
No.
I was waking up, getting a story written, probably drank a Coke Zero, went down to the sports book at the Ameristar, which, I mean, I'm sure there's a salad on the menu. I didn't see it if they did, and got a bacon cheeseburger and fries.
Ooh.
And then, at night was drinking a beer. It's just complete indulgence, like an immature fifth grader.
For 2 weeks.
It just
sounds like college.
It was basically that.
Yeah.
It's just
It sounds
I
like college.
had some things to do.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit ashamed of myself.
It's
for that
okay
kind
though.
of
No,
performance.
you're okay. Look, you can recover from this very easily. You get back into your exercising every day. Your runs. Do that. Maybe run a little bit further than you usually do. And try to just eat healthier for at least a week. And you'll get it back.
I am proud to say that I didn't get in the hot tub in my room.
Okay.
Which it was like 3 feet from my bed. I'm just not feeling like that was maybe the most sanitary. Maybe so.
Well,
Maybe
you
they
just take a
bleach it.
shower afterwards.
Yeah, the hot tub in the Midwestern hotel, I just wasn't really feeling. Everything else was phenomenal. I loved I had a comfortable bed, great internet. The shower was phenomenal. The people were unbelievable. The sportsbook was great. I did play blackjack last night.
Okay, and
we're not going to talk about that.
All right, so
it was the first wager I'd paid, so it went very, very poorly.
All right.
But my choices from a dietary perspective were just offensive.
Yeah, I mean, look.
Could you have done better than that?
Oh,
would you have done better than that?
I think I would have. I think I really do. I'm not certain of it, but I do think I would have done a little bit better. It's becoming clear, Hunt, that sometimes you just need a little bit of guidance at times. You can't. It's hard for you to by yourself to handle things like this.
Sometimes you just revert back to fourth grade behavior, and I just feel like from an eating perspective, I did. I mean, I do not regret either of the steak dinners that I had, which were phenomenal.
You shouldn't. No.
But we could have mixed it up for lunch and
We
not
could have.
gone straight cheeseburger, pizza, French dip.
Yeah.
Press box
This
pasta.
sounds like Myers would have loved this.
Yeah, well, I mean, I ate his diet. I
Yeah,
had
you
his
just
diet.
had-
I had his diet for 2
the
weeks.
diet of a 3-year-old.
Just less ketchup, but the same principle. Less ketchup, more beers than Myers. But that was basically what we got into there. So what a trip, and so many people that I saw up there that were so thrilled that that they were there for the first time, and so many that had been many, many times. And another deal, I talked about this yesterday, but like every single Uber driver that you hop in, if you've got your colors on, they're mentioning it and talking about it, and they've had LSU fans year in and year out, and the bartenders, and you walk into a restaurant and it's just completely purple and gold if you're anywhere near the stadium. Very, very cool. And the folks at the Ameristar we're disappointed Charlie and Jimmy were not there.
Yeah.
And, that's a first. They've been there for every one of these things for a bajillion years, and I've got a feeling they have not made their last trip. But I very much appreciate Gordy and Flynn and Matt and everybody for allowing me to do that. Haley from sales walked into my office in January, and she goes, Gordy wanted me to book you a flight to Omaha. And I said, in June? She's like, yeah. I said, yeah, you can do that. I'm a little bit disappointed that we got the 5:25 a.m. return flight in January.
In January, you had
there
plenty of
were
options
probably some
there.
options
Yeah,
there,
I
and
think so.
we'll revisit that. We'll workshop that in the future. But it did allow me to get back and do my show. So maybe that was the most efficient thing for business.
Yeah.
Just who cares about Hunt's sleep after his debaucherous 2 weeks of nothing but cheeseburgers. So that's it. Mr. Wallace says, Hunt, you did awesome. I'm not sure my primary care physician agrees with that, but hopefully the listeners thought things were good and the readers, LouisianaSports.net. In terms of clicks and views from the YouTube stuff and the website, everything was awesome. So appreciate you all for following along the entire time up there in Omaha. Let's transition to a little bit of football. Big visit weekend over the weekend. What happened? Sonny Ship will tell us that, and we'll do some Saints at the bottom of the hour with Sharif Ishak. Come back after Sports Center. It's a Tuesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared towards seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
These are the luckiest ice cubes in the world. They could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar, but instead, they've been called upon to cradle and cool a crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Huh. Looks like the lucky just got luckier. Dos Equis.
ED, low T, or simply seeking to optimize your health and performance? Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness offers a range of discreet services to address your specific needs. We empower men to reclaim their health and confidence. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
At Sunshine, we know what you see when you look at your land. Where others may see dirt, you see the foundation you've built your life on. This, it's hallowed ground. It's past, present, and future. We're proud to provide quality John Deere equipment to help you maintain the land you love. Check out our current promotions and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet Cadillac. Our family serving your family.
For over 50 years.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Doug Brown. When Aaron Rodgers steps on the field with the Steelers this year, he's considering it the final season of his career.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is it. That's why we just did a one-year deal. Steelers didn't need to, put any extra years on that or anything. So, this was really about finishing with a lot of love and fun and peace for the career that I've had. I played 20 freaking years.
Aaron Rodgers on the Pat McAfee Show. His deal with the Steelers is for almost $14 million, but could be worth up to $19.5 million with incentives. The Knicks interview a third candidate for their head coaching job. ESPN's Shams Charania reports it's Timberwolves assistant Micah Nori. The Knicks have been denied permission to talk with 5 other potential candidates. They fired Tom Thibodeau 3 weeks ago. The NBA draft opens tomorrow night in Brooklyn. Duke's Cooper Flagg is expected to be the Mavericks pick at number 1 overall. Tomorrow's first round coverage at 8 Eastern on ESPN Radio, TV, and ABC.
Your summer drink is here. Twisted Tea is a smooth, refreshing, hard iced tea with 5% alcohol, making it the perfect drink to take any day this summer to the next level. Twisted Tea Brewing Company, Cincinnati, Ohio. Please drink responsibly.
Now, the Hunt Palmer Show.
Yes! I feel like I've been waiting for this my entire life.
You're listening to the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Jolly good fun. Jolly good.
Locking down the middle of the day.
America's favorite daytime fun show.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
Hour 2, Tuesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Hope your work week's off to a good start. Appreciate you hanging out with us here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. A lot of baseball talk in hour number 1, and that'll continue throughout the week. LSU will celebrate its 2025 national championship tomorrow night. A little bit of an alteration from the initial announcement. Tomorrow, you can go inside Alec Box Stadium at 7 o'clock. The celebration will begin at 8. So, I would get there between 7 and 8, if you get what I'm saying. But they're going to do that tomorrow night. At the box. Looking forward to it. Over the weekend, the Tigers were winning that national championship on the diamond, and the football staff was recruiting a lot. Had a lot of high-name and high-profile visitors on campus. Sonny Shipp covers recruiting for the folks at 24/7. Gives us a little bit of time here on the Jim's Firearms Hotline. Sonny, how are you?
Good, brother. How you doing, man?
I'm awesome.
Still riding that high?
Yeah, I'm riding that high. It's all adrenaline right now. I had an early wake-up call this morning to get out of Omaha, but we're good. We're glad to be back and very excited to pick the kiddo up from school today who I haven't seen in 2 weeks. So we'll do that here very shortly. But let's talk some football recruiting. I want to start not with the visitors they had this weekend on campus, but with Bo Bentley, who they spent a lot of time recruiting and then decided to commit to Oklahoma. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, went out to the Elite 11. And I think the writing was kind of on the wall. Everybody was kind of looking to see, what Oklahoma's current quarterback commit at the time, Jaden O'Neal, how his official visit to Florida State went. And he dropped his decommitment note on Thursday night, and in it commented on how he wanted to go someplace he was wanted. And so it became obvious at that point that Oklahoma didn't make him feel wanted anymore, and they obviously made Bo Bentley feel wanted, who, they were the leader from the get-go as far as, a school that he wanted to go to, his childhood favorite and so forth. So he pulled the trigger on Friday and then showed up at Oklahoma for their big recruiting weekend, and that left Joe Sloan scrambling a little bit, but he pushed out an offer last night to a kid out of California, 6'2", 205 pounds, Bryson Bieber. is his name. Fared well at the Elite 11, the same competition that Bo Bentley was at and so forth. And he was kind of looking at Oregon, looking at Ole Miss. Those were kind of the two schools that were on him the most. He took an official visit to Oregon this past weekend. And then Sloan extended the offer. So now I think we just wait and see, okay, is this kid willing to wait, the next 37 days that we're in a current dead period? Does he wait that entire duration and then try to check out LSU in early August, or does he go ahead and pull a trigger, like a lot of these kids are going to do over the next coming days and weeks and month in July? So it's going to be interesting to see how that shakes out, and what direction Sloan ultimately goes in, which I think at the end of the day, I think that the final destination for quarterback for LSU in 2026 is going to be transfer portal.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't sign a high schooler last year, and they don't have one committed now. So how big a deal is that?
I think it becomes a big deal. I think it becomes a big deal when you look, if you look at it like I do, and that is you're going to lose Garrett Nussmeier. After this season right here, you've got two guys. You got Michael Van Buren and you got Colin Hurley. Both of them feel like that they should be the backup quarterback. How is that? How is the one who doesn't win number two, how is he going to handle all of this? And then come December when the transfer portal opens, does LSU not only lose Garrett Nussmeier to the NFL, but do they lose another quarterback? Then that puts you in a bind if you don't sign a quarterback in 2026, because now you're going into transfer portal shopping with one guy on the roster in that room. And I'm not counting Juwan Johnson, no disrespect to the kid, but he's just been shuffled all over the place to where it's hard to pinpoint him at any one position right now. But if you look at that scenario, then you could say, okay, you could be in a bind by not taking a kid in 2026.
Yeah, I mean, that's the danger you have when you lean on the transfer portal and you swing and miss in the.
But it also, and it also dates back to Bryce Underwood too. You really, you didn't sign. Once you didn't get Bryce Underwood, you didn't really recruit anybody else, so you didn't have a backup plan in 2025, and then you also weren't really all that concerned about 2026 because you knew there wasn't anybody in Louisiana. That was a no-brainer that you just had to go out and you had to offer. And so they kind of looked at it to where, okay, we get Bryce Underwood in 2025. We don't really need anybody in 2026. We can hit the portal if we have to. And then 2027, you're set up for one of the best quarterback situations that you've probably had since going back to the Josh Booty, Peyton Manning days. In Louisiana, and with Colton Nussmeier and all the ties that he has and the options that Sloan will have. So I think they kind of got caught in a situation like that, and it's just one more effect of not signing Underwood.
No question. Sonny Ships, our guest from 24/7 Sports, talking a little LSU recruiting. Let's talk about the guys they did have on campus over the weekend. One of those was Lamar Brown. How close was he to potentially not coming, and kind of where does that stand with Texas A&M?
Yeah, I guess, what was it, a week from today or a week from Monday, from yesterday, you had all of the talk of he wasn't going to visit LSU at all. Everyone had kind of already started, sending him to College Station. And then all of a sudden, the LSU convinced him to come for the visit. And I think they really did a good job. They did a good job of showing him the things that they needed to show him. I mean, the kid's seen everything that he needed to see. So before, and all the visits that he's made, he's on LSU's campus at U-High anyway, but they were able to show him, I think, a lot of the love that the players have amongst themselves, the coaching staff, the big family atmosphere that they promote. They had Mason Smith come in and spend some time with him. They were able to share stories about, Mason Smith was in the same situation, a 5-star from Louisiana. Could have gone out of state, could have gone anywhere. He chose to stay here at LSU and talked about how much he, is glad that he made that decision and things like that. So that was a big hit and stuff, but make no mistake about it. These next, what is today, the 24th, 25th?
24th.
I'm old. You got to forgive me. We basically have a little bit over 2 weeks until he announces his decision on July 10th. Over these next 2 weeks, Now you have to make sure all of your ducks are in a row. And by all of your ducks in a row, I mean all of your money is in a row. Make sure your NIL offer, make sure your NIL opportunities, make sure you got all that stuff, because whatever he entered the weekend with, the best offer from A&M that he's gotten, Texas, LSU, all of those offers are going to be upped. That's just the nature of the game. That's just the way that it is. In these negotiation processes. So you just have to make sure everything lines up from that standpoint. And I think the LSU staff I think they're going to pull that. I think they're going to pull it across the finish line. I think that, he's called LSU his favorite for so long and for so many times throughout the process. And there was a reason that he did. And, I think with everything being equal, I think that LSU is going to, I think that they'll get the job done and keep him home.
Brown was not the only five-star on campus over the weekend. Did LSU make some inroads to anybody else?
Well, you had Tristan Keys who came in, and obviously the number one wide receiver in the country out of Hattiesburg, Mississippi, committed to LSU, but coming off a visit to Tennessee, he visited Miami this summer, took some other visits and stuff. And, look, when you talk about NIL and you talk about the number one player at any position in the country, maybe outside of kicker, punter, and long snapper, those guys are going to demand some hefty NIL deals. It's just supply and demand. And so whenever, with a guy like Tristan Keys, Miami's still after him, Tennessee's still after him, a lot of schools are still after him. But getting him on campus this weekend to hang with Jamari Mack and Kenny Darby, two more LSU commitments, they were really able to really tighten their relationship, get a lot closer. A lot of the talk about, we're going to be the best we're going to be the best wide receiver trio that LSU's ever had. That kind of talk. And so all of that stuff is good. That when you're sitting there and you start, you start going through the recruitment, listen to other coaches, their spills and stuff like that. The fact that you have those friends now at LSU, I think that within itself helped him and will, give LSU a little more ammunition when they have to stave off these other offers, down the stretch.
You got a lot of commitment dates coming up, but you mentioned there's a dead period. So what's the calendar look like right now? The players can contact the coaches, but the coaches can't contact the players before they're being contacted. Is that it?
The coaches can contact the players. They can still call and stuff. They can do they can do FaceTime. They can do all of that. The only thing that is not allowed is in-person contact on or off campus.
Okay.
So, Frank Wilson strolls into McDonald's. He sees Lamar Brown at the counter. He probably needs to just walk away, act like he's getting in his car, hide behind the dumpster, and wait on him to walk out.
All right, I'm sure Frank will be on his P's and Q's over at the drive-thru. Sonny, we appreciate some time. We'll catch up very soon. Thanks.
Absolutely, man. Have a good one, buddy.
He's Sonny Shep with 24/7 Sports, all over the recruiting side of things. This is a wild time for college coaches trying to get these guys committed and then trying to keep them committed, and it's just it's interesting. And I'm curious. Sonny did say there that he thinks that Lamar Brown will ultimately end up at LSU. Obviously there's a lot of confidence with the Texas A&M side at this point, but hopefully you can keep one of the best players in the country right there in your backyard moving forward in LSU. Put out their best foot forward over the weekend. One of the interesting pictures that came out of the weekend was, and I'm not even 100% certain the three players that it was, but three of the players had their moms go full uniform. Shoulder pads, helmets, football pants, cleats, the whole 9 yards. And it's kind of a trend-setting moment. With usually the players do the photo shoot. This time the moms did the photo shoot, which was, I thought, kind of funny. But it's just that's the kind of deal you gotta pull out all the stops with your recruiting, and then make sure your NIL is where it needs to be. Right. All right. Let's take a time out. We will come back, and we got Sharif Ishak in 20 minutes coming up on the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
One Bath and Closets. OneBathAndClosets.com is the website. David Duvall and his team, 30 years redesigning and remodeling bathrooms and closets. Not every renovation or remodel has to be huge. Tub-to-shower conversion is not a huge deal. It's quick, it's cost-effective, and it makes a big difference. Take out that dingy old tub, that tub that doesn't work, the tub that you don't use, and put in a gorgeous shower. It's one way to completely improve your living situation without having to move or do a massive renovation that takes 6 months. David Duvall and his team are happy to do it. Start with that free consultation with the folks at One Bath and Closets, Ask them about the financing options they have, 0% up to 18 months if you qualify. They'll do it right the first time and leave the competition behind. That's the tagline. I couldn't tell you yesterday because I completely froze. But they'll do it right the first time and leave the competition behind. It's David Duvall, One Bath and Closets. You can find them online at onebathandclosets.com.
These are the luckiest ice cubes in the world. They could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they've been called upon to cradle and cool a crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Looks like the lucky just got luckier. Dos Equis.
Baton Rouge's home for real rock. It's Eagle 98.1. Foo Fighters. Led Zeppelin. AC/DC. Pearl Jam. And the flagship home for LSU sports. Take us anywhere with the Eagle 98.1 app. Eagle 98.1 is the rock station.
Men, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
At Luba Workers' Comp, our journey began over 30 years ago with a simple belief: our clients come first.
At Luba, our business has always been focused on people, not policies.
Through every success and challenge, we've continued to grow because we've stayed true to our values, committed to providing you with genuine dependability.
Because your well-being is more than a priority. It's our purpose.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
So the NBA Finals wrapped up back on, was it Sunday night? My days are just...
Yes, it was Sunday.
Sunday night. Okay. My days just still... I mean, I think tomorrow I should ease into like knowing exactly what day it is. I did not know what day it was ever in Omaha. It was just ridiculous with the every day being the same and the rain delays. The NBA Finals wrap up on Sunday, then immediately turn around and Wednesday is the draft. Pels have a couple of first-round picks. They still have a couple of first-round picks. They're trading away a second-round pick because there's been a big trade by Joe Dumars and this Pelicans organization. Cassie Spazzali, of course, is our great video producer here. If she were sitting in that chair about 8 feet to my right, she wouldn't know much about this Pelicans trade. But she's not here. She's on vacation. And Jordan Kitchens is, and he hosts the Pelican Scoop podcast. So now we get Jordan to announce the trade and then give me some thoughts on it, sir.
All right, let's start it off. So the New Orleans Pelicans, according to Shams Sharani on Twitter, X everything out, the New Orleans Pelicans are trading C.J. McCollum, Kelly Olynyk, and a future second-round pick to the Washington Wizards for Jordan Poole, Sadiq Bey, and pick number 40, sources tell ESPN.
So CJ's out. That's a guy who I had so much respect for. Played through injury, played really well, was a good shooter. While B.I. and Zion were seemingly never on the floor, he seemingly always was on the floor.
Good vet.
Great veteran, great shooter, great scorer. But getting up in age, and he'll go to Washington, where the Wizards are just atrocious. And Jordan Poole's a big name. That's a guy you pair with Zion. What you think?
All right. I just want to say this first. CJ, he's going to be a good vet for the Wizards. They need structure, so they need a CJ.
They need
McCollum.
everything.
I'm about to say they need a lot. He's a good vet that can go in there and get these young guys right. But I'll be damned if I'm not super happy by this. I mean, Joe Dumars, okay. A lot of people try to give him a little bit of flack the other day because, Tyrese Halliburton tore his Achilles, and the Pelicans traded their pick back. They had Indiana's pick next year, and they traded that back to get the 23rd pick this year. It's top 4 protected. People forget that. So even if the Pacers were bad, who we weren't even gonna get a top 5 pick regardless. People on Joe's head. I get that. This is a good move. You don't give up any first-round picks. You bring in Jordan Poole, a young. He's got a lot to prove. He's going to have a lot to prove because he's been sitting in the Wizards, picking his nose, just putting up empty stats, empty calorie stats. We're gonna see what he can do.
26 years old.
Yeah, 26. I mean, coming from a Golden State dynasty back in the day. Draymond punched him, ended his career a little bit, but he can revitalize that in New Orleans because I do think, let me take that back, Hunt. It could get a little tricky now I was thinking about it because you still are in another position where you don't have a point guard. CJ can kind of handle the ball a little bit. Jordan Poole can handle the ball, but he's not a point guard. And now you're in a situation where you have Trey Murphy still, Herb Jones, Jordan Poole. I mean, you don't have all these spots available. DeJounte's going to be out, but maybe they might draft a point guard now. I just feel like there's a little bit more clarity with the team. I'll say that. It's a little bit more clarity what the direction they might go.
Are you worried about losing CJ's veteran presence? Because I'm looking from afar here. I'm not I'm not knee deep in the Pels here, but Zion being the face of the organization and the leader scares me a little bit. And CJ keeping people between the buoys, I feel like is probably one of his best attributes.
Okay, yes, but at the same time, certain point Zion has to grow up. All right. Yeah. Yes. I mean, look, Zion, me and Zion are the same age. Sooner or later, bro, you got to grow up. If we're giving you $200 million, you want to be the man, you got the shoe deal, the endorsements, all this, get out the headlines, with your little escapades off the court, lock in. This should be a sign anybody's movable. You might be next. If Luka Doncic can get moved, why can't you get moved? So this is like your final strike. If you can't make this work, just get out of town. That's how I feel. But I think CJ will be missed in a sense of a veteran presence, but come on, man. Like, these guys are getting older. Sooner or later, somebody's got to be the adult in the room. Like, this ain't not a young team of 20-year-olds and 21-year-olds. The team's starting to get a little bit up in age. And you just watch OKC win with guys that haven't even purchased beers yet. They don't even know how to pop bottles. So it's like, sooner or later, you got to grow up. So, yes.
Saddiq Bey, what do you know about bringing him in? He's 6'7", small forward. What do we got here?
Okay, well, I remember – couple years back, he dropped 50 points when he was on the Pistons. He got traded to the Hawks, and it's been kind of just, I don't know what happened. He kind of like fell off a cliff. He kind of just got put by the wayside, but he's a good scorer, but he's just inconsistent with it. But at the same time, this Pelicans team, you need bodies. And I'm not talking warm bodies. No, you actually need a little bit of talent on the team. You need some talent. You're going to start the season without DeJounte, torn Achilles, so you can kiss him goodbye for the foreseeable future. You might start the season without Trey Murphy recovering from a torn labrum and a shooting arm. You might not have Herb Jones either, who's recovering from a torn labrum and his non-shooting arm. So you're going to be without guys. You need talent. You need bodies. I think Saddiq Bey will be a good addition off the bench, and in certain spots he could start for the team, yes.
All right, so we're feeling better today than we did 10 days ago in Pelicans Nation?
Oh, Hunt, I almost jumped out my seat when I saw that trade pop up on my phone, man. Like, that is something. It's just the fact they didn't give up any first-round picks. I love that. The fact that Joe didn't overextend his hand to get this move. I feel like this is a good trade on both ends. I don't feel like obviously going to be a winner and loser, but I don't think anybody can walk away and be like, oh, we got fleeced or they got fleeced. I think the Wizards got 2 veterans that they desperately need on a team full of young guys. I think the Pelicans got younger, better help on a team that needs younger and better talent. So I think both teams win.
I don't disagree with you. I was kind of surprised during the break. Jordan was very excited. I think this is a good trade. I don't think it's an amazing. I don't think Joe Dumars just pulled off one of the best trades in the last few years or anything. But it is really good for the Pelicans. They got younger. I do think that they're going to have to go out and sign some sort of veteran presence that's going to see significant playing time, because they really don't have that anymore now.
Yep.
Losing CJ McCollum, but this is a good move. I mean, Jordan Poole has had his he's been, I don't know.
Streaky.
He's got some. He's had some run-ins with stuff on social media.
Yeah,
like,
that's not great.
No, it's
with
not.
Zion, there's some drama involved here.
Right. So let's see what happens with that. Can he rein that in a little bit? He's been in the league for 6 years now. So that's another one where it's like, all right, Zion, you need to grow up. Jordan Poole probably needs to grow up a little bit.
Yeah.
So maybe this is a good fresh start for him. And Sadiq Bey, I think, is just going to be like an 8th or 9th guy on the bench he's probably going to play in your second unit. And he's probably going to be a pretty good guy for that second unit.
Yeah.
But I think it is a really good trade for the Pelicans. Like Jordan said, you don't lose a first, you just swap second round picks, which who cares about that?
Yeah,
that just kind of evens out to me. So it's a good trade for the Pelicans, and it's a good step towards the next season.
Yeah.
All right, that concludes Pels Talk here. If you want to hear more about that trade, I'm imagining there will probably be an episode of the Pelican Scoop coming up this afternoon.
It's coming.
It's coming up. All right, let me talk LSU baseball in the transfer portal here. I do have a name that LSU is pursuing. This has been reported multiple places, so I'm not exactly breaking news here. But Rutgers right-handed pitcher Landon Mack just finished his freshman year for the Scarlet Knights, and he has jumped in the transfer portal. This is big time talent here. This is one of those guys that you add and you that's the Gage jump, that's the Ianson, that's the upside that you're adding here. Matt could be that. He was at Rutgers this year, through 80 1/3 innings, struck out I believe 70 hitters. Yeah, 70 strikeouts. Had an ERA of 4.03. But I look at some of the video that I saw today of him, and I look at some of the outings that he had, and you just see the talent. I mean, Oregon was a regional host this year. Oregon tied UCLA to win the Big Ten. They won 22 games in the Big Ten, and Mack went to Oregon and threw a 7-inning shutout with 2 hits allowed. They only struck out 2, but a really good outing. 4 strikeouts in that outing. He's got a really good breaking ball, and the fastball velocity is in the low to mid-90s. And he's just a freshman. So it's a guy that have 2 years of eligibility left. Now, I get it. All these stats are against teams in the Big Ten, but he's a freshman. And you saw an 8-inning outing against Minnesota where he had a really good outing. He threw 6 innings at Indiana that were shut out with just 5 hits allowed. So I liked the video. I like the numbers. I like that he's a freshman. And this is a guy that Tennessee is very much on. This is a guy that you're going to see a lot of teams in the SEC and the ACC try to bring in for visits. Reportedly, he is going to visit Knoxville, and hopefully gives LSU a chance. You heard, finally, we got a name attached to the story that Jay Johnson has consistently told about 2023 when LSU was trying to recruit a player. They ended up committing elsewhere while LSU was winning the national championship. It was Nate Snead, the reliever from Tennessee, really good reliever from them, had a solid freshman year at Wichita State, ended up going to Knoxville. He's throwing 100 miles an hour now and was one of their very, very key. He was their best reliever this past year. And that's a guy that LSU lost because they were in the national championship series and couldn't get him to a visit because he committed to Tennessee before they could get back to Baton Rouge. And in this instance, LSU is now back to Baton Rouge. And let's see if they can get Landon Mack in for a visit and see if they can add him to the mix. I think he would be very much in the mix to be a weekend starter with Zach Cowan. That's one of the names I was going for. It wasn't the one I was trying to say first. Kason Evans, Zach Cowan, William Schmidt, Cooper Williams, Jaden Newt. You've got a number of guys there who could vie for that role, and I think that Landon Mack, if they could get him in, would certainly be one of those as well. So if we hear anything on that, we'll keep you posted on it. I expect Jay Johnson to add 3 more guys in the next 10, 12 days. I think that's probably a fair guesstimate. We don't know what the future holds for some of these guys, so it's hard for me to go roster spot for roster spot because there are too many guys that could leave or could stay, whether that's to go to the draft or to go to the transfer portal. But I think 3 or 4 additions probably sounds right to this point. We'll just see, and if we hear anything, we'll keep you posted, and certainly we'll write about it over on LouisianaSports.net. All right, let's step aside. Sharif Ishak on the Saints next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Highland Insurance Group, HighlandIG.com is the website. If you have not considered a captive for your commercial insurance, why? It could completely change your bottom line and risk management if you qualify. And so if you're a sizable business and you feel like you pay a lot for insurance and you haven't been presented with a captive, call Jonathan Carbo. Say, hey, I heard Hunt talking about these captives. Like, what do we need to do? We need to talk to him. They handle captives all the time over at the Highland Insurance Group, and they can help you out with your commercial insurance if you fit into a captive. They're in Baton Rouge. They can help you out statewide, wherever you are. But check them out online, highlandig.com. It's the Highland Insurance Group. Find them online at highlandig.com.
It's not just a game, it's a religion. You've got your team colors, team swag, and now your very own website. LouisianaSports.net. Everything LSU, Saints, and Pelicans. Sports on demand. In-depth coverage by sports writing pros with continuously updated news. And with the LouisianaSports.net newsletter, you get pinged directly with top trending stories. Best of all, now and always, no paywall. It's free. LouisianaSports.net. Powered by 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Your home for Louisiana sports.
These are the luckiest ice cubes in the world. They could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they've been called upon to cradle and cool a crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Looks like the lucky just got luckier. Dos Equis.
ED, low T, or simply seeking to optimize your health and performance? Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness offers a range of discreet services to address your specific needs. We empower men to reclaim their health and confidence. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
At Sunshine, we know what you see when you look at your land. Where others may see dirt, you see the foundation you've built your life on. This, it's hallowed ground. It's past, present, and future. We're proud to provide quality John Deere equipment to help you maintain the land you love. Check out our current promotions and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet Cadillac, our family serving your family.
For over 50 years.
At Luba Workers' Comp, our journey began over 30 years ago with a simple belief. Our clients come first.
At Luba, our business has always been focused on people, not policies.
Through every success and challenge, we've continued to grow because we've stayed true to our values, committed to providing you with genuine dependability.
Because your well-being is more than a priority. It's our purpose.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
All right, moving right along here. Tuesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Got 2 segments left to go. Talked a lot of LSU baseball today. Talked a little football recruiting at the end of the hour. If you missed that, you can catch it on demand wherever you find your sound. Search Hunt on LSU for all your LSU football content. We update that just about each and every day with the next LSU football topic of the day, which today was the recruiting of Bo Bentley, Lamar Brown, Tristan Keys, and some of the 5 stars that LSU has been aggressively pursuing here in this cycle. So go ahead and check that out on Tuesdays. Sharif Ishak's good enough to give us a little bit of time, and it's actually pretty timely that he jumps aboard because the Pelicans just made a little move there. We talked about it a little bit in the last segment, but moving C.J. McCollum and Kelly Olynyk and a second-round pick over to Washington, and in return they get Jordan Poole and some more ancillary things. Sharif, how'd Joe Dumars do here?
I think it was, I kind of like this move. I'll be honest with you, I like it. CJ McCollum was great on and off the court for the city of New Orleans and for the Pelicans, of course. And he's 33 years old. He's going to be 34 in September. I think they got to get younger. You just can't keep running it back, Hunt. Running it back and running it back, and, essentially getting the same result. I mean, it's just not working out. That's the definition of insanity. It really is. Look, at least they're trying. So I do like Jordan Poole, a little bit more athletic. Of course, 26 years old, which means he's 8 years younger than C.J. McCollum, has a little bit more range and athleticism. I like the move. The salaries kind of match up, even though C.J. McCollum was going to be a salary dump after this year. He only had 1 year left. Poole has 2 years left on his contract. I think a little bit more than 30, then 27 the year after that. But that's the money version of it. I do like it, and I do like Sadiq Bey being a guy who come off the bench. Unfortunately, the last game he played was against the Pelicans, and he tore his ACL in that game. So he's coming off an ACL injury and then getting a second-round pick. Look, they're stocked with picks. They got 7, 23, and 40 in the second round. So at least Joe Dumars is trying to fix the brand and fix the on-court product for this franchise that's been struggling so mightily.
Can the Pelicans help the 2025-2026 team in the draft at 7, or is that a spot where you probably are getting a player that may help you a little bit more down the road?
I think they can find someone who's reliable there. I'm not going to say a superstar right away. I think somebody who's reliable you can maybe plug and play. Now that C.J. McCollum is gone, yeah, you have Jordan Poole, but remember that you don't have DeJounte Murray until maybe the All-Star break because of the Achilles injury that he suffered. So I'm thinking you're aiming at, if Ace Bailey falls to them, that's great. I would not move up to get him. Maybe they do something crazy tomorrow and they trade up a few spots to get him. But I would stay where I am. If he falls to you, great. If not, you maybe have a look at Jeremiah Fears, the point guard from Oklahoma, or maybe even Trey Johnson falls to you from Texas, another guard. I really like Trey Johnson with his size at 6'5", his ability to shoot and create. But a lot of the mock drafts have him top 5. Look, the ESPN one that I read a little while ago has him flipping to the Pelicans. If you get him at 7, man, that's a win for you. But some of the other names, I would take a look at. They do need another big guy. Maybe Kaman Malawak from Duke. But those are the 4 guys: Malawak, Johnson, Fears, and Bailey. But I would say Bailey's going to be the toughest one to get.
This is the point. Like, I know all the guys you're talking about because I watched them so much in college, and then I feel like they get to the NBA, and if they go play for the Wizards or somebody or the Nets, like I'm just never going to see them again. But if they play for the Pels, I will. So we'll see what they decide to do at 7. All right, Sharif, let's talk a little bit about the Saints while I've got you here. I'm curious how you feel about some of the players that have been on the roster a couple of years that have not made an impact and what their potential impact could be. Let's start with Isaiah Foskey and Kendre Miller. They haven't played for different reasons, but how do you feel about those 2 guys and their potential to help this year?
Well, let's start with, since we always talk about Kendre, let's start with Foskey this time.
Yeah.
I mean, he's been MIA. Maybe Staley's system and Bo Davis, they figure it out with him and they tap the potential out of him. I remember when the Saints drafted him, I'm like, hey, man, you don't become the all-time sack leader out of Notre Dame by accident. And then he's starting to prove a lot of us wrong, or right, or wrong, whatever. The saying is he's proving us, but he's not that good. He hasn't been that good. And just maybe, his athleticism can shine in this 3-4 defense under Staley. I mean, he's got to find a way to get on the field. I mean, it hasn't really been injuries. It's just his inability to get on the field. If you can't get on the field, then you're not good enough, and this is going to be it for him. I mean, he doesn't play this year. He's probably done. They're not going to continue. They're not going to extend him. Not do anything with him. Flip side, it's Kendre Miller. With him, it's not his ability to play. It's his ability to get on the field.
Yeah.
Now, he had beef with Dennis Allen, and it felt like once Dennis was gone, things were fine. I think things have been fine for him now. He's much happier. He's in much better shape. I thought he was running the ball really well in some of these mandatory mini camps. I know it's not really much, but that running back room, Hunt, is just crowded with so many players right now. It's so many players. I know all those 7 guys that are behind that are in that running back room. You got Alvin, and then you got everyone else. I mean, someone has to eventually pop up and become a good running back behind Alvin Kamara. They need someone, whether if it is Kendre, if it's Clyde if he makes the team, Devin Neal. I personally think it's going to be Kendre Miller. I think this is Kendre Miller's time. I think he has a chip on his shoulder with the Dennis Allen days, especially the way how last season ended. Whenever he said he wasn't hurt, and he should have never gone on IR for those 4 games. So I do think he is going to be ready to play. I think that you can just see the motivation with him out there so far this offseason.
Do you feel like the signing of Jordan Reed ended the thought that Jordan Howden might be a starting safety for the Saints?
For now, I do think for now, but it's good to have depth. It's good to have the veterans to teach the younger guy. I'm good with the move. I told you that last time we talked about Jordan Reed. I think we need to bring in the guy who is the Super Bowl championships under his belt, just like when they signed Tyron. Tyron had the 1 Super Bowl with the Chiefs, just like Justin Reed has 2 with the Chiefs. I'm good with it. You've got to bring in these veterans to teach the younger guys, because some of the younger guys were struggling in that Joe Woods and Dennis Allen system. So I don't think it's necessarily the end of the line when it comes to him being a starter. I think this is a good push for him in the right direction to learn from Justin Reed, because I think, once again, I think that Jordan has talent. I do think that Jordan Howden has some talent there. I mean, he's could be a ball hawk. He's a solid tackler. So now he gets a chance to learn from one of the better safeties in the NFL. So I think he should be just fine, but because he's still got years. He's not like Isaiah Foskey. At least he's on the field. He's contributing on special teams, and he's contributing in the secondary. So I think he's headed in the right direction. Let's say that.
I'm a little surprised Dallin Holker hasn't been able to crack in there at tight end. I know Taysom Hill's got the role, and they signed Foster Moreau, and Juwan just got re-inked, so it feels like the position is now kind of blocked. When they signed him as an undrafted free agent, I really thought, okay, that's a guy that's going to make the team and make a difference, and it just never really happened. You've seen him in training camp and in practices and stuff. Are you surprised that he never made a push?
Yeah, I'm a little surprised, mostly because he was a high priority undrafted free agent. They gave him all that money. And I thought, man, he's going to shine, especially last year when they were dealing with a lot of injuries. And Hunt, you're right, not really much. And sometimes you have to bring the right coaching staff to untap that potential. And that's why I think, like, I'm trying to give some of these guys like Foskey and Kendre a chance as well, because maybe a fresh voice, fresh coaching staff will get them moving in that right direction. I see the same with Dallin Holker, but like, it's going to be a little tough. You got to remember though, when does Foster come back? When does Taysom Hill come back? It feels like Taysom could be headed in the right direction, the wrong direction of maybe starting the season on PUP or IR, because that injury happened in mid-December. Foster, I don't know, like I think Foster's the one who could be ready before the season starts. So, I mean, but yeah, he is fighting. He's fighting to get that lineup. But this should be the chance for him to try to take hold and try to take a chances with those guys being out, because they may not even start training camp practicing. I mean, I doubt Taysom Hill is going to be practicing during training camp unless he has a miraculous healing process, which we've seen before with him. But I just think this time they're probably going to take a little easier on him, because he's the battering ram, and then they want to make sure that he's healthy during the right part of the season. So this is a chance for Dallin to show off his skills under this new staff. So the opportunity is there, Hunt, for Dallin.
Last one. This was a little bit off the wall, but I'm curious your thoughts. Blake Grupe, okay, pretty good year last year.
Yeah.
Charlie Smith, though, do you feel like that's going to be a real competition in the fall?
I do not think so. I think that it's Blake Grupe's job. I mean, I think it's Blake Grupe's job to lose. So I'm going to stick. I'm going to stick with him. I'm going to stick with Blake Grupe, and that's the guy. That's the guy that I really like at that position. Now, if you want to talk about another position.
Sure. What you got?
Punter? Maybe punter could be one. Matthew Hayball could be, could be the guy that could possibly lose out his job. I mean, James Burnup is the guy that, big physical guy from Alabama, has a booming leg, a massive leg. So I'd watch that one when it comes to specialists. I think it could be the Burnap versus Hayball showdown there to see who wins it out, because, they've changed punters the last 2 seasons.
They have. So we'll see. Interesting.
Yeah.
All right. I will give you the opportunity to talk about Omaha.
I loved everything I saw. It was great. Remember when we did our Zoom, whenever I asked you, could they win this fall? And you was like, I don't know, man. I don't know. I mean, I think they can get there, but it all depends. I mean, with you, I had no idea that they can win it all. 6 weeks ago, I was like, man, can they even get to Omaha? Man, getting playing your best baseball at the right time. Your pitcher's getting hot. Everyone playing good defense. I was pumped, man. I was pumped to see another national championship. It's probably better that I don't ever go back again. I'm not saying I'm bad luck. I was there in 2023 just for the championship series, but Kendall Duncan is the person who needs to be there from start to finish, and I think LSU will always win.
That's good to know. If Jay Johnson finds that out, he will make sure that happens. It was I thought once they beat Tennessee and Arkansas at home, I said, look, they may not make it out of their own regional, but they're good enough to win the whole thing. Like if you can do that 2 weeks in a row, the way they did it against those two teams, like you're good enough to go get it done. And they ended up doing it. So you never know. There's no sure thing. It's a fickle sport, but it's been a pretty good run for Jay Johnson through 4 years.
Yeah, that bracket was the bracket of death, I felt like, when they got to Omaha. I thought that the team that got out of that bracket was going to win it. And as soon as they beat Arkansas, I was like,
yep.
Coastal's not beating LSU once. There's no way they're going to beat Cade Anderson and Anthony Ianson at all. So, and just 3 runs in 2 games. I mean, and they came against Ianson, who was fantastic, just like Cade Anderson. And Chase Shores, man, lights out. I don't know what he's going to do next year. I don't know if he's going to go in the draft. That's your specialty. If he comes back,
he'll be going.
Out.
He will. Somebody will offer him lots of money to come throw 100 miles an hour for a pro team, and he will do that. So I anticipate that was his last pitch at LSU, but it was an important one, and he'll get to see it for the rest of his life now because it was the last pitch to win the Natty. So thanks, Sharif.
All right, man. I'll see you tomorrow at the celebration if you're there.
Sounds good. Sharif Ishak, WDSU. He'll be here covering the celebration, which, by the way, tomorrow, gates open at the box at 7 o'clock. The celebration will begin at 8 o'clock. So we'll be talking about that on tomorrow's show. We'll come back and close this one out next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Genesis of Baton Rouge. GenesisofBatonRouge.com is the website. Every car that's on the lot is online at GenesisofBatonRouge.com. How's a 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty sound? 10 years, 100,000 miles. Pretty good. 3 years of complimentary valet maintenance. Pretty good. So it means you just have one of the Genesis Baton Rouge brand ambassadors come to your place of business or your home. They'll leave you a loaner car, take your car back to the service aisle, get that oil change done, get the wiper blades handled, wiper fluid done, get your air filter fixed. You don't have to sit there and watch Price is Right for an hour every morning and sit there and wait till they bring the car back out to you. No, you just get on about your day, and when it's done, they'll bring it back to you. It's valet complimentary maintenance on your vehicle for the first 3 years when you buy a new Genesis vehicle. Every car that's on the lot is online. It's from the sedan all the way up to the SUV. It's Genesis of Baton Rouge, and you can find them airline at PQ and online at GenesisofBatonRouge.com. GenesisofBatonRouge.com.
Man, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
These are the luckiest ice cubes in the world. They could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they've been called upon to cradle and cool a crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Looks like the lucky just got luckier. Dos Equis.
At Sunshine, we know what you see when you look at your land. Where others may see dirt, you see the foundation you've built your life on. This, it's hallowed ground. It's past, present, and future. We're proud to provide quality John Deere equipment to help you maintain the land you love. Check out our current promotions and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet Cadillac, our family serving your family.
For over 50 years.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
All right, wrapping things up here, a Tuesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Appreciate y'all hanging out with us. A lot of baseball in the first hour, some baseball in the second hour, also Pels, Saints, and LSU football. So we kind of covered all our bases here on this Tuesday. There's one thing left to do, and that is, of course, take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Presented to you by Flight by Yingling, the next generation of light beer, crafted by America's oldest brewery. Today's hottest stories in sports, news, and sometimes even Hunt's life. The question is, will he take them or leave them?
Shout out to Flight by Yingling. If you were watching the show from Omaha the last couple of weeks, I had the 2 cans of Flight by Yingling. They don't sell that in Nebraska or Iowa, so I had to bring that along. I put them in the fridge after the show yesterday, and then we got back from dinner. I drank both of them. So they did not come back with us, and you don't see them on the flight. But it's the next generation of light beer. It's a great, great summer beer. If you're looking for a light, refreshing, cold beer in the summer, Flight by Yingling is fantastic. Whether you're mowing the grass, out at the pool, out tailgating, fishing, on the grill, Flight by Yingling, fantastic. 95 calories, crisp, delicious, and light while maintaining that beer flavor. Great, great light beer. Flight by Yingling.
All righty, first one here. Former All-Star pitcher Noah Syndergaard has signed a minor league deal with the Chicago White Sox. They could use some help. Syndergaard hasn't pitched in the majors since 2023. He will pitch for the White Sox. Take it or leave it.
Oh, leave it. I mean,
Leave it alone.
what are we doing here?
It's the White Sox. They got to do something.
How many guys
you
you got in your organization? You're going to go get a guy who hadn't pitched in 2 years? I mean, what's his fastball velo these days? Like 91?
Good question, actually.
But he was throwing bullets in the 2015 season when they swept the Cubs in the LCS.
Yeah.
That was they had Harvey, DeGrom, and Syndergaard, and it was like, who's ever going to beat them?
Yeah.
And then they went into the World Series and got their butts kicked. Who beat them?
2015. I don't know why I can't think of that.
played the Royals?
Oh, yeah. Was that the Royals
Was it the
here? Like
Royals?
Eric Hosmer. Yeah, it might, actually, that sounds right.
I'll have to look that up during the next one. But, yeah, I think that sounds right.
Yeah, it is. This is, I mean, we talked about
Royals got after him.
Yeah.
6 games.
Yeah,
5 games.
I think, and it's funny, I think I remember doing a take it or leave it on Syndergaard maybe last year or 2 years ago when somebody signed him, and it just really stinks because that guy was absurdly, like, his stuff was insane. I mean, he could have been, one of the best pitchers in the majors for years, but just injuries derailed, and you see it sometimes. But really unfortunate. But look, he's at the White Sox, so I mean, if he's gonna be able to pitch for anybody, it's probably the White Sox.
Yes,
so hopefully,
that's correct.
Hopefully maybe he'll get a chance. But last one here, real quick. The New York Knicks are interviewing Minnesota Timberwolves assistant Micah Nori. I'm sure no one's heard of him for the team's head coaching job. Sources told ESPN the Knicks have now done formal interviews with 3 candidates. Nori and then 2 former head coaches, Mike Brown, who coached for the Knicks a while ago, and then also Taylor Jenkins, who used to coach the Grizzlies. The Knicks fumbled the bag. Take it or leave it.
My gosh, I take it. How much can I take it? I've never taken one more. This is like, I mean, I can't even come up with an apt comparison here. This would be like Kansas firing Lance Leopold, their football coach, and just like digging around for like defensive line coaches at Oklahoma State to be their next head coach. Like, this guy did something that no one's been able to do, and you have no plan once you've dismissed him for what we all assume is like no reason.
Right.
I don't understand.
It is really crazy because after they got rid of him, everyone just assumed, they must have somebody. They've got to have somebody that in line. They know that they're going to hire this guy. But
just hire a Van Gundy and get it over with.
Yeah,
just grab one of the Van Gundys. Any Van Gundy will do. Just take one of those.
Yeah, it's really surprising. But again, I think this just goes back to people, or at least a lot of times fans and even myself, sometimes just assume that people in front offices of professional teams just always know what they want to do, always have it together, and are always planning ahead. But it seems to me that the Knicks had just no idea what they were thinking here with this. So.
Surprise, surprise. You got to be incompetent to have a brand and a following in a city, in a market like that, and just screw it up for a quarter century. Like it's
impressive.
It takes some incompetence, and they've got it figured out there in Manhattan. So that's it for Take It or Leave It here, presented by Flight by Yingling. Shout out to the folks at Yingling who made everything possible over the last week and a half. And one more shout out to GoFlow IV Spa and, of course, Our Lady of the Lake for everything that they've done for getting us to Omaha and now back from Omaha. I feel like I can get my feet on the ground this evening and get some things done, taken care of, and then tomorrow will be like a normal day of work for the first time in 3 weeks. But what an awesome run it was. And we'll celebrate the 2025 national champions at the Box tomorrow night. 7 o'clock is when they open the gates, and 8 o'clock is when they will start the festivities. That's it for us. If you missed any of the show today, catch it on demand. 1045ESPN.com's on demand tab, Apple Podcast, Spotify, Google. Wherever you find your sound, you can certainly find us. Search Hunt Palmer Show. Hunt on LSU for your LSU content. Hunt on Saints for your Saints content. That's it. Matt's going to drive you home next on After Further Review. Michael Braswell is going to jump on with him. I am really excited because I'm going to go knock 2 things out upstairs, and then I'm going to go pick up the kiddo who I've not seen in 2 weeks. So that's exciting. So it's exciting. I'll be back tomorrow, same time, same place, for a Wednesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer